can definitely fight for the title. Maybe not, this year, but I would say most certainly next year.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with an update from Can Krizo. Just a few weeks after competing at the New York Pro and the mighty Pittsburgh Pro. And I must say that was a successful comeback as he was making his return to the bodybuilding stage after that shoulder surgery. And the thing is, he only got beat by the top Olympians. Now that itself was one hell of an accomplishment, considering that he was coming back after 1 year, and that too with a new coach. And of course, after that shoulder injury. And that was undoubtedly one of the best transformation that we saw in the recent past. And most of us were completely surprised why Krizo chose not to do any show after the New York Pro. And the reason I'm saying that is because he was so close to winning another pro show and earning his Olympia spot, especially at this year's California Pro. So the main reason that Krizo identified that made him to go back to the drawing board and have another productive offseason, that was him unable to open up his back due to that poor shoulder mobility that affected his one side very badly. Because if we take a look at the back shots of Krizo, he was peeled, absolutely shredded. He had so much detail in the back, but he was simply unable to open up properly in those back shots. And guess what? Krizo hasn't been wasting any time whatsoever. He's back in the gym, training regularly. But more importantly, he has been posing a lot. He has been focusing a lot on his posing and presentation. Because the thing is, this just isn't an issue with his back. His overall posing and presentation, that needs a lot of work. Now he did beat Regan at the New York Pro, and that too, very convincingly. He got straight scores against Regan, both at the prejudging as well as at the finals. And if Krizo would have chose to do California Pro, he probably would have won that show. But I'm gonna say more power to him, making that big decision and getting back to another improvement phase. Now his absence at the Olympia this year, that does leave one spot open for the top 10 guys, because Krizo is a top 10 guy in any lineup. So let's see which one of these guys in that second call out takes Krizo's place at the Olympia this year. Next up, we have an update from our reigning Miss Olympia champion, Samson Dauda. So Samson's official offseason that started a few weeks back. And you bet, he isn't gonna be missing a single beat all the way till the Olympia this year, because he had like 10 weeks completely off everything. After this past Arnold, he went through a proper detox, and now the man is back on his protocol. Now he obviously did not stop training during that 10 weeks time span, but the thing is, no improvements were made during that time, since he wasn't running anything in terms of the PEDs and the gear. So if there is one area where Samson can and must make improvements, that is especially his back, specifically that back double biceps. And just looking at the back of Samson Dauda from a few years back, there is no doubt that the man has made some crazy improvements. And another thing, Samson has been the fastest growing guy in the entire men's open class, and that too without even taking a proper off season. I mean, the guy hasn't taken a whole year off since 2021, and that just goes to show us how big of a part genetics play at the top. We have so many other guys who have taken not one but multiple years off just to put on some muscle, and they are still struggling to do that, to have enough muscle mass to be very competitive at the top level. And here we have Samson Dauda, who says his body just continues to get bigger even when he is on low calories. Now it wasn't exactly deliberate that Samson came in at 300 pounds on the stage. The thing is, the weight, that is the least of his concerns, but his body, that is just comfortable at that weight. So a very obvious direction was given to Samson Dauda at this past Arnold and what he needs to do for the Olympia this year. And that is to bring more conditioning, be even more shredded than he was at the Olympia last year. And that is going to be a major factor in him defending his Olympia title. Now Samson's fate as the champion, that is in his own hands. If he peaks 100%, he beats them all. So Keone, the reigning 212 Olympia champion, he posted more 19 weeks out physique updates. And let me just start this by saying, this just isn't fair to the rest of the 212. How can the other guys even motivate themselves to become Miss Olympia when all of them know that this is the kind of athlete they are going up against? This is the guy who they have to beat in order to have a shot at that Olympia title. Now have a look at those hamstrings at 19 weeks out. I'm gonna say that is simply insane. And I think we are about to see another mind-blowing transformation from Keone, just the way he did, from 23 to 24. So the more important and exciting news, that is the statement that his coach Patrick Tuor just made. Although Keone hasn't given us a timeline on when he's gonna switch over to the men's open division, but Patrick Tuor hinted that this could become a reality as soon as next year.
He can definitely fight for the title. Maybe not, this year, but I would say most certainly next year. I see that happening. If the size, which I think it will, is going to be enough, then it's going to be very, very difficult to beat him, simply because he is put together so well, like nobody else. And now that we have a good grasp of the condition, he will definitely be in contention to win the title.
If Keone continues to put on some muscle and some size, and a quality one at this pace, and Keone too has always maintained this stance, that he needs to be big enough and dense enough and thick enough to have a go at the men's open, guys. Now for the record, Patrick Tuor rates his physique very, very high, and he calls him the best bodybuilder in the making. From Lee Haney to Jay Cutler, these legends of the game, they have predicted that Keone is gonna be a similar story as Derek Lunsford. They all believe this guy is gonna cross over and win another Olympia title in the men's open. And same was the case with Derek Lunsford. So the fans are desperately waiting for Keone to make that switch, because in the 212, it's gonna be another very dominant win for him in October. So out of all the guys who won their pro cards this year, Anthony Williams, the winner of the overall Arnold Amateur, that was probably the best one. And the guy, I'm gonna say, with the most potential. Tall guy with crazy sweeping quads, very small waist, huge arms, very thick wide lats. Basically those ideal proportions that any bodybuilder could ask for. Now we do not know when he plans to make his pro debut. We do however know that he looks amazing, over 300 pounds. And he did pair up with John Jewett to maximize the output of his training and this offseason. And John, we all know, is one of the most knowledgeable person in the entire pro league at the moment. So let's just hope that Anthony jumps into a show, maybe sometime later this year, or maybe in some show in the first quarter of next year, to see how he compares with the pros. Now he wasn't in the best condition when he won the Arnold Amateur, but that is if we compare him to those top guys in the pro ranks. So the man has been grinding very hard since the Arnold this year, which by the way was in March, hungry to make some real improvements and come back with some noticeable size difference, and more importantly, with a better conditioning the next time he steps on stage. And this is one pro debut that the fans should definitely look forward to. So Patrick Moore just revealed that there was around a 15 pounds gap between him at Cali Pro versus the Legion Sports, and the man really went through a hell week in order to accomplish that. And that means he did up to 3 cardio sessions per day, plus 2 training sessions. Now training twice per day, that was kind of a normal thing. I mean, guys in the 90s and the early 2000s, they used to do that. Jay Cutler always trained twice for most part of his career. But 3 cardio sessions, that is something I'm sure all of us are hearing for the first time. But that being said, Patrick is very proud of the package that he presented at the Legion Sports. And I'm gonna say, why won't he? He was able to beat a bunch of very good bodybuilders. And just remember, Bruno Santos was the guy who was the winner of Europa Pro last year, where Patrick did not even make top 5. So these comparison pictures right here, they are a very clear indication why conditioning, that will always rule over size. Because on scale, Patrick was 15 pounds lighter at the Legion Sports, but in comparison pictures, there isn't any lack of size. In fact, the separation in the hamstrings, they make him appear bigger at the Legion Sports. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.